Hello, YouTube. It is I. And I have an anime that I have a great throbbing passion for. And this anime is known as Attack on Titan, or even better, Kyojin no Shingeki, which is the original name of the show. I know, my Chinese is very impressive. Today I thought I'd give you guys my thoughts and feelings on Season 3 of the show, as I've been told that Season 3 is the best season of the show, that Season 3 makes the show worth it, and so I thought I'd sit down and finally give it the chance that it so deserves. Attack on Titan follows the story of Eren Yeager in a business suit. He seemingly lost a little bit of weight between the ending of Season 2 and the start of Season 3, but that's probably explained in the manga, so I should go and read it first before I make this review. And our opening episode begins with him chatting up Mikasa, whilst they're sat at a table looking at a video on Instagram or TikTok or something. And some of you may think that, well, isn't he chatting up Mikasa? And isn't Mikasa meant to be his sister? Isn't that wrong? And here, as the most dedicated Attack on Titan fan, of course, I'm here to tell you that there is nothing wrong with this. The two of them aren't related by blood, because Mikasa is an Ackerman and Eren belongs to the Yeager family. And because they're not related by blood, it makes flirtation between siblings completely fine. And in this case, it doesn't amount to incest, because they're not related by blood, therefore it makes it okay. In response to the scene happening, Levi, who is a different nationality than what I remember him being, starts furiously masturbating in the background. Clearly frustrated by this flirtation happening on company time, Levi finally decides to address Eren for his incompetence, and all the fangirls of the show begin getting moist at the idea of all the yaoi they can draw from this. He raises a fist and does his best mocking impression of Eren Yeager for the sake of intimidation. Not before being stopped by Armin, who seems to be suffering with some kind of balding issue. But again, that's probably explained in the manga somewhere. And that's my fault for being an incompetent reviewer, because my criticism is now invalid due to the fact that I have announced publicly that I have not read the manga. And of course, with this being an adaptation, there's no way you can review it as its own standalone product and instead has to be reviewed alongside the manga, or else everything you say is completely invalid. We cut to the patented intro of Attack on Titan Season 3 and we're finally given a preview of what the season will look like. You see, Hajime Isayama tried new grounds with this and clearly wanted to experiment with an underwater themed season, and there's more than likely some kind of existential question to be taken away from what you're currently seeing in the introduction. But unfortunately, my brain is too small and I can't comprehend the grandeur of it. So for those kind people watching the video, I would much adore it if you could possibly let me know in the comments so I can finally be a woke individual and I can enjoy Attack on Titan to its fullest. Once we return to the scene, we find out that Levi decided to meet up with Commander Erwin and they start discussing tactics around a table. And the scene gets all political, and politics are important, but I mean, politics are also kind of boring, so I just skipped over this. I kind of fell asleep during this scene, I gotta be honest, so, yeah. Politics happen, and, yeah, politics. And very similarly to a lot of the reworked designs between Season 2 and Season 3, it looks like Erwin has been getting up to some raunchy stuff in his spare time, if, you catch my drift. It's almost like the show is begging for you to make that yaoi fan art. And Erwin also does the insulting thing of referring to Levi as a supporting character, which Levi responds to by being physically upset. Again, this comments on Levi's character as it's part of his character building. You see, the season is more about him, and so when you look at Levi as a character and all the traits that he has as a character, being referred to as a side character damages his person, so he begins to work on this. Not before Levi finally confesses his love in private for one of the female cast. The long-awaited answer, and it ends up being What was her name again? What was the one with the potatoes? What was her name again? Sasha. Sasha, the love of his life. He finally confesses to it and begins explaining precisely why he is so affectionate towards this character, developing himself even further. This is a little bit off topic from the progression of the story so far, but you may have noticed that the animation has definitely shifted between Season 2 and Season 3, where it looks drastically different, and in my opinion, my argument is that I feel like it's drastically improved. The absolutely flawless animation combined with the occasional clipping, which is probably explained by kimonoplasm or something, make for a show where you can begin asking yourself some very existential questions about the entire endeavor. Why does his face move like that? Well, why does our face move like that? Because like you, this character is a representation of who you really are. But again, my brain too small. Back on topic, Levi finally gets the guts to ask Sasha out, and Sasha responds by proposing a date. Also, Sasha is kinda cute, and I would totally 10 out of 10 would bang, if you know what I'm saying. Wow. I didn't know they let Hajime Isayama have a role on his own show. Jumping into episode 2, this opens up with a confrontation between Levi and Erwin, when Erwin refers to him in a very racist manner. Levi, of course, being overtly Asian, he's completely offended by the entire endeavor, and an argument breaks out between the two of them. Very interesting stuff, I know. And to further exemplify the amazing production quality of this season, we hear the sounds of being submerged underwater as Levi's thoughts are clouded by what's currently going on. And this is an analogy for what may happen later on in the season. I don't know yet, but I know that this means something important, and it will definitely come up later. Eren and Mikasa are off to the side, and they finally begin discussing what they should do about Armin. They've always known that Armin is more of a third wheel in the entire thing, and if he were to go missing from the plot, then no one would actually care because his character is about as impactful as you'd expect. So they begin to discuss their negative experiences when hanging around with Armin, deciding what his future should look like, when Levi, who is secretly developing feelings towards Eren in a totally not yaoi but definitely yaoi kind of way, decides to step in and take the bullet, confronting Armin by himself in Eren's stead. But things don't exactly go to plan, and we all have this little comical moment. Eventually, the plot moves on, and Levi begins furiously masturbating into a microphone again, in a karaoke bar, to the dismay of Erwin, who doesn't really want to hear that because he doesn't bend in that direction. The two of them decide to move off to a cafe, not before hearing news that Sasha is now under attack by one of the Titans trying to perv on her, and Levi will not stand for it, which is why he stands. And as his relationship with Eren grows stronger and stronger, he begins unintentionally doing more impressions of him. Unfortunately, they ran out of budget for the fight scene, and so we skip over the fight scene entirely. We don't get to see how the Titan was warded off, but Levi holsters his weapon, which seems to be this new kind of blade that's umbrella-shaped, and there's a lot that can be taken away from this image, but I won't bore you too much with it, because I'd rather not make an hour and 25-minute video describing why a sword is shaped like an umbrella. Sasha refers to Levi as a hero, and Levi finally feels what it's like to be the central protagonist. He understands that this season is about him until disaster strikes within the characters' relationships with one another. And the episode ends on a cliffhanger, and because the show is so modern, it decides to remind us of this fact. The fact that it knows by showing us more fake Instagram videos featuring all of our favorite characters doing Fortnite dances. Oh boy, that was the first 2 episodes. I am so happy with those. Oh my god, it's amazing. This series is fantastic. I can't wait to watch the next episode. Wait, what do you mean there are no more episodes? What do you mean?